Why can't they find it in themselves? Why do they have to look somewhere else?
Okay, great question. Why is it so important to find peace in a higher being? Why can't you just find peace in yourself? Well, I think obviously by working on your perspective, you can find a degree of peace in yourself. I mean, I have friends who do drugs, and through drugs they find a degree of peace in themselves. But my question is it possible to have peace with God? My question is, the thought of my own death is not very appealing. It doesn't produce peace. Is there life after death? Is there hope for life beyond the grave? Jesus Christ says you can have peace with God, you can have eternal life, and I offer it to you as a gift when you put your faith in me. Well, I am deeply interested in that.
It's definitely possible, but my view here is that it's not the only truth at all. Jesus is not the only way to find your way to heaven or wherever it is that you want to go.
Okay, how do you find your way to life after death?
You know, I haven't figured that out yet. I'm still young and I have a lot of time to think about that, but I definitely do not think that we should limit ourselves to one way of finding that. It's very limiting, I find.
What happens if you die tomorrow?
You know, truth has an incredible way of being limiting. There's no doubt about it. If you go into your next exam without studying and just allow the real you to flow out all over that exam paper, and then your professor hands you back a flunking grade, if you take that paper and go to the professor and say, "Professor, this is the real me. This is what I genuinely thought," the professor's going to look you in the face and say, "Yeah, the real you is wrong. You flunked." If I'm flying back to LaGuardia Airport in New York City and the pilot comes across the intercom and says, "Hey, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to try something new. We're going to try
This is different
Long
from
Island
anything.
Sound."
This is different
No.
from math or science. Math or science, there is one right answer. This isn't science. This is something intelligible. This is something abstract. We have no scientific evidence for this.
Good. So are you telling me that the only way you can know truth is through science?
Not quite, but I'm
Thank you.
saying you can't also define the truth by something that you don't know. So why should we limit ourselves? Why should we say that everybody needs to follow this one thing?
Well, if I'm going to pursue truth in science, if I'm going to pursue truth in history, if I'm going to pursue truth in a law court, in a crime situation, then I hope that when it comes to God, I'm not going to give up the search for truth and settle for any good old fantasy. I hope that I'm going to have the same hunger to understand what is real, what is true, what does the evidence point to. And in spite of the fact that I can't prove God scientifically, that doesn't mean that God hasn't left enough evidence for me to believe in God. It doesn't mean that Jesus has not left enough evidence that he's reliable.
That's good for you, but not for everyone. It shouldn't be a universal truth. It could be a truth for your family or for